Okay, need you. Hello, hello. Shalom, shalom. Welcome once again to our midweek MIDrash week. Whoopsie. Knocking the camera over. Okay, can't take me anywhere. Okay. Welcome to our 14th installment in this as we endeavor to read the all of Psalm 119, the famous and amazing acrostic psalm. And the 14th letter that we'll be looking at is the letter Nun, as we say in the intro. So we're excited to continue to proceed and to plow forward. And we pray that you've been with us either live at 7:30, 7:31 on Wednesday evening, going forward. Hey, Yochanan. Okay, welcome, Yochanan. Good to have you again, brother. And I'm hearing my lovely wife talking, I believe, to Herman. Okay, he's about to call in. But did he forget?
No.
Okay.
He said that something came up.
Okie dokie. Okay, so again, acrostic, which is a psalm that has consecutive letters going from Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet all the way to Tav. 22 letters, 8 verses devoted to each letter. It's 176 altogether. So it's been amazing. There is these 22 separate collections of 8 verses, which extol the virtues of the word of Yahuwah, which is the sacred name, the eternal Yahuwah. Oh, William, welcome. So good to have both of you here, and whoever else is out there. I don't know who you are. You need to give a little live chat comment, perhaps, or give us a call. Hello?
Herman?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It is I.
welcome, hermano. Okay. All aboard that's coming aboard. Shalom, shalom.
One.
Good night, Herman.
Hey, what's going on, Gilbert? Hello. Regina.
Hello.
Yochanan. Hello. William. Blessings to you all.
Amen. Amen. And again, my
And you can.
Amen. And again, my introduction. Okay. And again, my introduction is old hat for all of you guys who've been watching along. And there might be some of you who are kind of waiting until we get finished to go through the whole alphabet together, maybe do like a marathon. That's also good. But stay with us, because this is we're getting a lot of keen eyesight into the technical angles that our brother Herman has been providing, very pithily done, and looking at the spiritual context, and we're digging a little deeper than the regular English translations. We're going to the Ivrit, and we are seeing many, many nuggets of wonder. And again, the word, the Torah, instruction of the Most High, Yahuwah, is amazing. And we see the different categories: Torah, testimonies, statutes, precepts, decrees, judgments, commandments, word, all of them, 8 of them, divided 4 that are male and 4 that are female. And they're all come together. Even as mankind is made for Torah, he's made male and female equal parts to come together as echad, as Torah, and the word is echad. It is one word, and yet many dimensions, many facets, like a wonderful diamond. Like a diamond has many, many facets, and it's one beautiful diamond that is very, very attractive to our eyes. And we walk by faith, not by sight, not to get our minds off of the faith angle. But this wonderful diamond is the Torah, is the word of the Most High. And again, last week we did the Mem, which was the water. And this week we do the Nun, which is the fish, the life, the darting through the water is the symbol of the Nun, the fish that darts through the water. Also symbolic of life, also symbolic of the sprouting of vegetation, which we will see in a matter of weeks when Aviv comes. We are still in the 11th month. After the 12th month, we will have on Wednesday evening, not too far down the road, we will also be celebrating Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Chodesh, the first of the year, the first of the months. And we will do it with the celebration of Aviv, the green that breaks the surface, as life, as spring returns, even as Avraham and Sarah were told by the presence of the Most High that he would return to them at the time of life, and Yitzchak, the laughter provider and provoker, would be there, assuring life and assuring us the promise. So the life is significant, and we will go into this next right here. Okay. This is the nun here. Okay, you got to come with me a little, Mama.
Okay.
Because okay, we have the lamp right in the way. I'm gonna have to shift things around a little bit. Bobbity boo, bobbity bee. Okay, the lamp is right in the way. Okay, here we see, that's the perfect angle. This is the nun, and this is the final nun. This is what it looks like at the end of a word. We already had a couple of letters. Last week was the mem, and there was a final mem also. So this is 2 weeks in a row. We have water and fish, and we have the nun and the final nun. And here's the way that nun is spelled out. Nun. And now we go into some vocabulary, which is always a fun part here. Okie dokie, artichokey. Alrighty. Right like that. Here we have na'af, which is adultery, okay? Ne'aman, which is loyal. So we have adultery next to loyalty. We see the two. And here is ner, which is light. Ner, which is the candle, which is the source of light. Ner, or is light, but ner is a lamp unto my feet. Aha, we've reached the verse that comes up in, so bear with me. We're almost there. Nahar. Okay, where are we? Nahar is river. Nahar, river. Nadar is a vow. Naval, bear with me here. I don't know all these words through and through. Okay. See Naval? Right here, Naval, right? Naval is vile or evil or fool. Naval. And we get the root of the word evil from there too. Okay. Nachash. Gan Eden. Nachash, the serpent, the snake. Nachash. Should always hope to remember what a nachash is so it doesn't creep up on us. Okay. Nates is a hawk. Here we're going to see some animals here. Nesher is the eagle. Nesher. Okay. Nizhar. Where are you? It's another critter, I believe. Nizhar. That is to enlighten. Nizhar. Where am I? Okay, Nizhar. We're all the way down here, okay? We just need to come up just a little bit. Is that hurting, Mama?
No, okay.
Okay. Just have to angle it away from the light, right like that. Okay. Nishar, and this is Nimala. Where are you? On my page here. Nimala, that is the ant. Nimala. Takes 4 letters to say ant in Hebrew. 3 syllables to say ant in Ivrit. The tiny insect is Nimala. And here we have 2 very important words with regards to life, with regards to the Nun celebrating life. Nefesh, the idea of the soul, the inner workings of the spiritual man, nefesh. And neshama, which is to breathe, the breathing soul, proof of life, proof that we are living critters. And whereas all other critters are created after their kind, we've been created after the Elohim kind. And that is our lesson for today regarding our grammar and vocabulary. And we open the door for the rest of the mishpacha to come forward and contribute, throw in their double shekels or triple shekels. And if I know Herman, he's got quite a lot of shekels on him. And we will go forth. And again, thank you, Herman and Gilbert and Pat, for being with us. And Gilbert, I'd like you to please open in prayer for us.
Yes. Divine and everlasting Father, creator of the universe, once more, Father, we come to you this evening at the feet of your throne. We submit ourselves unto you to give you thanks and praise, Father. Your name be praised at all times. We thank you for the opportunity this evening to be in your presence, dear Father, and to learn more about you. May you at all times bless us as we come before you. Submit ourselves at the feet of your throne. In the name of your Son, Yeshua, we give you all the honor, glory, and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Toda rabah. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. And Herman, if you would do us the honors, we are in Psalm 119. We are reading from verse 105 to 112, the section devoted to the letter Nun. Nun, the life, the force of life.
Ready. Okay, so here you go, section Nun.
Yes, sir.
Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. I have sworn and confirmed that I will keep your righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word. Accept, I pray, the free will offering of my mouth, O Lord. Teach me your judgments. My life is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I have not strayed from your precepts. Your testimonies I have taken as a heritage forever. They are the rejoicing of my heart. Find my heart to perform your statutes forever to the very end.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And a beautiful way to conclude that, right? I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes forever to the very end. Your statutes forever to the end of our physical existence, continuing forward in our eternal existence. So it's a wonderful psalm, and as all 22 sections begin with each of these verses begin with a nun. So again, we will look at the first verse, which is ner le ragli. Ner le ragli. Ner, we just read, or we just saw, that ner is a lamp of some kind, right? Ner le ragli, a lamp to the foot of me, or to my foot. We have regal, which is foot. A lamp to my foot, a lamp to my feet. Because remember, the idea of the feet is the walking, the halakha, the walk, the journey, the behavior, the conduct, the character that is formed along the path. And the light of the lamp provides us illumination. Devarecha, your word, a lamp to the foot of me, your word is your word. Ve, or, and light, and here we see the word or, and light, li ne tivati. I got a messed up on there. Li ne tivati. Okay, the path. Nativ is a path that is a track. It is a path that has been worn. It's a path that has been used, even as we see in the parable of the sower, the seed that falls along the path. The path is well trodden. There's no room for the seed to penetrate. Okay? It's just going to lie there waiting for somebody to come up and gobble it up. It's no way to penetrate. Okay, so the path, back especially in biblical days, we didn't have asphalt, right? We didn't have concrete paths necessarily, did we? But we had good roads that were paved with whatever they did back there, with the stones, or whether it was just a well worn path. Okay, your lamp is your word to me is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path, for my well-worn track. So again, he's almost speaking of his experience, which I think the Hebrew points out, that the path, otherwise he would have said derech, my way, a lamp to my way. But he talks about it as a track, as a path, something that's definitely been walked upon through experience and the developing of our character and refining us. So we see some character development in this first verse. And this is one of those verses that we kind of waited for, right? We know this is in Psalm 119 somewhere. And there it is. Thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. A beautiful, beautiful verse which almost summarizes all of Torah, right? And our halakha is aided by the light of Torah, that we walk in it. We walk in that light. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, what happens? We have fellowship with one another. And the blood of Messiah cleanses us from all sin, because we're on a path that is smooth, that has been prepared for us by the light revealing the path in front of us, one foot in front of another. And I've learned that in the past 10 years of my life. A very tough lesson, too. Take one step at a time. I can't say, I'll meet you there, and kind of jog to the corner. No. I can't do that anymore. I have to take it one step at a time. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. The second verse, which is Psalm 106. Okay, just move it a little away. Nish ba'eti. Nish ba'eti. Nish ba'eti. Nish ba'eti. And I took an oath, or I swore. Shava is the word that we see in that word. And Shava, where is Be'er Shava? It's the well of the oath, the well of the seven. And the seven symbolic of the Shabbat as well. Those first two letters in Shabbat as well. So I took an oath. I culminated, and led me to swear, if you will. I swore. I took an oath. Na'akayema. Okay, and I confirmed. I took an oath and I confirmed. Okay, or as we just read, I have sworn and confirmed. Okay, lishmor, to follow, and here we have that word shamar in there, which means to guard, to keep, to follow, to guard, and it's precious. I took an oath and I confirmed to follow, to guard, mishpete, your judgments. Okay, your judgments. And describing those judgments, we have tzidkecha, the righteousness of you. Your judgments exemplify the righteousness of you. And the judgments, again, are mishpat, which are verdicts, which are the sentence that is revealed by the judge. His results, his culmination. Even as it said, I took an oath, I swore, I completed. I took a complete stand, and your judgments, which are your complete declarations. You know, to make a judgment, you have to hear both sides, or you have to take in all the evidence, the hine factor, and then render a judgment. And these judgments are tzedekah, there are righteous judgments. And Hermanito,
Yes.
I was going to say, as we're looking at these different things that we're learning each week, what is that little diamond that we see in the thing? I'm learning about the afnak and the maket, What is that little diamond called?
Are you referring to the diamond above the mem in Lishmor?
Yes, indeedy do.
Okay. All right. Well, what happens, this is what happens. In reality, you have two sets of markings, of grammatical markings.
Mm-hmm.
There is one set for the majority of the Bible, and then you have a second set of markings for the book of Psalms, Job, and Mishlei, and Mishlei, the Proverbs, I believe. All right. So in this case, okay, if you were to be reading the Torah, that diamond would be called a rabia. Rabia. If you're reading the Torah, it would be called a rabia. Rabia means a quarter marker.
Okay.
And that's what it does. It marks usually it marks the quarter. However, in the poetic books, Psalms, Job, and Mishlei, Proverbs, I think Mishlei's Proverbs, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Here, the diamond is combined with that little dash. You see the dash above the lamed?
Yes.
Okay. So those two little markings go together. This would be called a rabia mugrash. Rabia mugrash.
All right.
Okay. Now, the diamond over the mem is the syllable that you're going to stress, because remember that these markings not only function as grammatical as punctuation, right, like commas,
Mm-hmm.
colon, but they also function to indicate what syllable is going to be stressed.
Right.
So in this case, it's
Lishmor.
more. That's the syllable that's going to be stressed. So to
Okay.
answer your question once again, it's called a rabia grash.
Excellent.
Okay?
Got it. And again, that would be Lishmor. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And again, feel free to pitch in wherever and whenever. Okay. So we see.
Just quickly, you're going to notice that the Athanak is what's marking the Va'ake Yema, right? So you're going to notice that the Athanak is there. So that's the syllable, the Ye. That's the syllable that you're going to stress. Okay? So it functions as an accent mark to stress the syllable, and in this case, it will also function as it should function as a comma.
Gotcha. Amen. Excelente. Okay. We are up to verse 107. And the word is na'aneti. Okay, na'aneti. I'm pulling up a word here. Okay. Na'aneti, which means I suffered, and that comes from ana, which is literally to look down, to be depressed or afflicted. I suffered. I was looking downwards. We're told to look up for the healing, but when we're suffering, we're looking downwards. We are earthbound. Okay? I suffered. Ad me'od. I suffered too much. I suffered too much. I am afflicted very much. Okay. Same idea. I suffered ad me'od, too much. I suffered to a lot. Okay? Yahuwah. Okay? The Lord. Chayeni. Make me alive. We see Chay there. Chaye, make me alive. Okay? Chid varecha, as your word. According to your word or as your word. Make me alive according to your word, or revive me, O Yahuwah, according to your word, or as your word. Your word is alive. Your word is active. The word accomplishes everything that it sets out to do. The word is active like a two-edged sword. The word is precise. The word is direct. The word comes directly from Yahuwah, from his mouth, like the arrows, like Yara, that is sent forward. So are we to be any different than the word? The word in us motivates us to be as the word. So if the word is what makes us alive, that is an appropriate way of looking at it. What do you think of that, Herman?
Well, it says, I am afflicted very much. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word, according to the Devar.
Right.
It's the word. It's the word that gives life.
It is that word.
It gives life. That's what infuses us, the word. Remember that it was through the word that the eternal creates everything.
Exactly.
So, through the word.
And it's purposeful.
John chapter 1.
Yep.
So the word became flesh, of course, and that word, that person was the light that gives life, the light of life as well.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think of that, what I just said? Chayeni chid varecha. Make me alive as your word.
I would say that it would be according to your word, because the kaf preposition can mean as.
Right.
It can mean as, but I think in this case it would be according to.
Okay.
Keep in mind, prepositions have many meanings. It could be like, according to. It could mean as. It could mean if, sometimes even if, according to, after. So it has many meanings. I would translate this according to your word.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it's been translated throughout 19.
Yeah. Right. But again, it does give us some freedom to interpret it that make us alive as your word is alive. According to your word, according to your word, we are to be alive, and we live according to the word, and the word has its great impact in us, and it makes us like the word. I kind of see that there, that the word is making us like it in that sense that the word accomplishes everything it sets out to do. But either way, according to your word, may we be alive according to your word. Your word desires us to be alive so that it can work within us, right? According to your word. The word is life. Thy word is life. Okay. Okay, verse 103. Okay. Here we are. Nidvot. Nidvot, which sounds like a feminine plural word. Nidvot. Okay. On December 3rd, November 3rd, you need to vote, but that's not what we're saying here. We're saying nidvot, and nidva is to impel. It's a free will offering. It's also spontaneous. Okay? The willing praises of P, of my mouth. The willing praises, the spontaneous, not just the well-prepared. And again, this is something that kind of bothers me when people pray. They pray there's these formulas, and they try to sound kind of King Jamesian or whatever. We need to be spontaneous, not always with all of our notes handy, but always prepared to give an account, even as the Ruach would give an account for us. But still, we need to have spontaneity in our lives, which is proof of our being alive, that it's not all written out for us. It's not like lines to be memorized in a drama or a play. This is improvisation to a certain extent in our response to him. Okay, so the willing praises of my mouth, Retsa na Yahuwah. Okay, the willing praises of my mouth, except now, Yahuwah. Except now. Okay, so except I pray the free will offerings of my mouth. Okay, yeah. Except now. Except now. Except I pray. There's a certain passion there, right? The willing free will offerings, the willing praises of my mouth. Accept now. There's a sense of, accept them now. Please don't put them on a shelf somewhere. Accept them now, the free will offerings of my mouth. Yahuwah. Yahuwah, again, the middle thing there, the afnach, indicating the middle. Okay? Mishpatecha, and the laws and your judgments, la medeni, teach me. Lamed is the word for to be taught, to be instructed, teach me. And again, the root of the word is from the goad. As I mentioned, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, the idea of teaching is, having the goad. I've got a goad here. If you're not paying attention, you're going to know this goad better than you want to know the goad. Spare the rod, spoil the child. So we have incentive to be willing to learn. So the willing places of my mouth, accept now, Yahuwah. Okay? And your judgments, teach me. Continue to instruct me. Again, the cry for a continued relationship. Okay, a continued relationship. And we see this in the next verse also. Accept, I pray, the free will offerings of my mouth, O Yahuwah, and teach me your judgments. Accept the free will offerings even as you teach me your judgments. And again, we talked about mishpat. These are the rulings. These are the declared purposes. These are the verdicts. This is the sentence. The verdict in our life is to be promoted to glory, right? So that's what we're seeking for. So his judgments, we want to be taught them. We want to be taught how to meet his standards, how that we need to move forward, and that we would have this praise, not just reading a prayer, but saying a prayer from our heart, in our lowest state, in our highest state, whenever we have the opportunity to speak truth to Yahuwah and make these declarations. Accept the free will offering of my mouth now, please, Yahuwah. And your judgments, teach them to me. Teach them to me. I need to know your judgments. I need to know that I'm passing my class. I'm not just taking up space, right? We don't want to just take up space. We want to be purposeful in all that we do, right? And so up to 109. Nafshi. That's nefesh, my nefesh. Nafshi right here. Nafshi. And I hope you can see that. Whoops. I don't know if Nafshi. My soul. And I hope this isn't so small. You're not watching me on a postage stamp size screen, in which my head would actually appear to be a normal size. But unfortunately, if you have a TV side or a laptop, you're amazed by the size of my cranium and might be wondering, what is it filled with? Coconut custard? I don't know. Okay, so nafshi. Okay. Nafshi, which is my soul or my life, the life of me. V'chapi, the life of me in the hand of me. Okay. Tamid, constantly or continually. So my life is in my hand, right? My life is continually in my hand. In other words, my choices are ever before me, right? V'toratecha, okay. And here I see that the Ravia over the chet, right? Yep.
So notice that you're going to have the Rabia Mukrash again, and notice that the Rabia is above the Kaf Sofit.
Right.
So in this case, that's the syllable you're going to stress. So it would be Toratecha. Normally it would be pronounced Toratecha, but in this case it would be Toratecha, because that's the syllable that you're stressing based on the marking there.
Amen. Amen. So my life is continually in my hand, okay? But your Torah, the Torah Techa, lo, not, shachachti, shachachti, I will forget not. I will not forget. So my life is in my hand. You know, my choices lay before me. You know, I'm not a robot. And that's why it says, yet I don't forget your Torah. So this is always being presented by the Psalter within the frail conditions of everyday life, not as the perfect, you know, flawless individual, but someone who has to deal with the wicked ones, has to deal with choices, and my life is continually in my hand. Well, you know, in the spirit, because I know that our life is in His hand. You know, we are in His. Yeah, okay, but as he's contemplating his life and his ability to get off track, he reminds us, "My life is in my hand, but I will not forget your Torah." So, in other words, I'm not I'm not autodidactic. I still rely upon your Torah to teach me, to instruct me, and your judgments laid before me, so I know the verdicts. I know your strict standards, and I seek to move in them. Okay, nafshi. Yes.
I think that this is a Hebraic idiom.
Okay.
Life is because we see that expression also when the Bible talks about David, that he was going to confront Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly where I have it in my notes, but it says that David put his life in his hand. In other words, that he put his life in danger. So I think that this is an idiom, a Hebraic idiom,
Mm-hmm.
where when the person's life is in their hands, meaning that their life is in danger, they're risking their lives.
Okay. Okay. So again, when our life is in our hands, we need to make that decision to lean on the Torah, because when our life is in our hands, we are in a place of danger, because we are, you know, we're Butterfingers. You know, I wouldn't want to trust my life in my hands necessarily, which is why the role we see this in Yirmiyahu and Jeremiah, and also Ezekiel and Ezekiel, where the prophet condemns the false teachers, the false prophets, the false shepherds, the false priests, because they have the lives of their constituents, their people, in their hands, and they're teaching people falsely, so they're not turning away from sin, they're not turning away from flawed life, and so it's a very, very, very dangerous thing, very dangerous and very precarious, that we should be.
I found the verse.
Mm-hmm.
1 Samuel 19:5. We find that expression also regarding David. It says, "For he took his life in his hands and killed the Philistine, and the Lord brought about a great deliverance for all of Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you send against innocent blood to kill David without a cause?" This is, I believe, this is Jonathan interceding for David before his father Saul. So Jonathan is saying to his dad Saul, "Hey, Dad, David took his life in his hands, when he confronted the Philistines." So here we find that expression again. Again, 1 Samuel 19:5. For he, referring to David, took his life in his hands and killed the Philistine. So I believe that this is a Hebraic idiom referring to a person's life in danger. And I think that there is some truth to that. Let me get back to where I was before. Because notice the parallelism here. In verse 109, I have my life is continually in my hand, and then notice the next in verse 110, the wicked have laid a snare for me. So you see that there is a parallelism between in verses 109 and 110, where it connects the danger with the snares that the wicked. But maybe if I have an opportunity, I'll develop that a little later.
Okay. And we also see, I will not forget And then in 110 is I have not strayed. So being forgetful and straying are also very, very comparable ideas. We cannot afford to do either as we're engaged in our life when we're in a position of compromise.
Correct.
Or
Right.
danger.
This is a synonymous parallel in verses 109 and verse 10.
Yeah.
So my life is continuing in my hand, parallels with the wicked have laid a snare for me. And as you said in verse 109, yet I do not forget your law. And then verse 10, yet I have not strayed from your precepts. So it's contrasting the verses, but it's paralleling the previous verse. So there's a lot of poetry here. Not surprisingly, there's a lot of parallelism in this section, Nun. And as I said, if I have an opportunity, I'll share a few more parallelisms.
Yeah, excellent.
Devices.
Definitely. Muy bueno. Okay, my life is continually in my hand, yet I will not forget your Torah. Okay. And that was, we're up to 110. Okay. Okay. Not new. Not new. Not new is the first word. Not new, which is they set. Reshaim, the wicked ones, they set. Pach, a snare, li, for me. U, me, peak, u, decha. The wicked ones set a snare for me. Okay. But your precepts, but your mandates, that which you've established, lo ta'iti, lo ta'iti, I have not strayed. And interesting that a snare is usually something that you step in, right? You step in a snare, and we're talking about from the very beginning, your word is a lamp for my feet, a light for my path. It has a practical application that we don't step into the snares.
Right.
You know?
Yes, it is connected. You're absolutely right. Because when you have a lamp and you're walking down a dark road, or if you're in the woods, that light, that lamp, that flashlight is going to help you or prevent you from stepping into that trap.
Mm-hmm.
There.
Amen. So the wicked ones, they set a snare for me, but your precepts, the mandated principles of Torah, of instruction, I have not strayed from them. So I've refused to stray because I'm on the path. And to stray from the path is to invite danger, is, as you've said, when our life is in our hands, when we go where we want to go, when we do what we want to do. Again, that's the core teaching of Torah, of Shabbat, remember? About we don't go our way. We don't speak our words. We don't do this, our. We do his. And we find delight in the things of Yahuwah, of the Lord. And we find ultimately through this process, we find delight in him, the giver, Noten HaTorah, the giver of the Torah. I think that's beautiful. I think it really makes such a balanced sense and such a great position from which to function, from which to operate. Everything else is sinking sand, you know? This is building on the rock of stability, the rock of salvation, the Petra, not the Petros, but the Petra, the great rock of revelation, Messiah himself, who followed us in our wilderness so that we will not stray. And that's beautiful. Again, each of these sections, it seems like just when we think that we're in the clear, then there's Rashaim again. These wicked ones pop up. It's like whack-a-mole. You know, they keep popping up. And they're not just passively goofing off or whatever. They're setting snares. They're trying to mess us up. They're trying at the very, very least to distract us. At the very, very least to get our minds off of Yahuwah and for us to have faith. Why are you believing in that stuff? You know, let's do this, let's do that. Let's go this way. Why are you sticking on that path? You know, come with us. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna make fun of somebody else. We're gonna hassle somebody else. Okay? Amen. I have not strayed. Again, the straying on the path, the light for our feet. The regalim, the pilgrim feasts. 3 times a year, we need to be faithful for the halakha to be appreciated and understood literally as we walk to the feasts that we're appointed to go to. Okay? The next, we're up to 111. Okay, second to last verse. And here we be. Okay. Nachal ti. Nachal ti. I believe nachal was one of our words. Nachal ti. And it is nachal is the root of the word heritage. Okay. I have heritage. Okay. I have heritage. I have heritage. Okay. Nachal is to inherit. It's to occupy. It's to distribute. So to have the heritage, ed votecha, of your testimonies. I have the heritage of your testimonies, le'olam. Le'olam. You see the little marker there? I have the heritage of your testimonies to forever. To forever. I have the heritage of your testimonies forever. That's a beautiful idea, right? The heritage of your testimonies. And what is his testimonies? His testimonies from the word aid, which is a witness, a recorder, to advance, to continue, to move forward. Is again the word is shot like an arrow, yara. So that which we inherit is our heritage, is his testimony. I have heritage in your testimonies forever. Ki sison, indeed, the joy of Levi, my heart, he ma, there, okay? The joy of my heart is there, okay? The English sounds completely kind of different there. Your testimonies I have taken as a heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. For they are the rejoicing of my heart. Sason, ushafte mayim besason mimanei Yeshua. With joy you shall draw forth waters from the fountains of salvation. Joy. Simcha is the word that usually pops in my mind with joy, but sason, ki sason. Indeed, the joy of my heart is there. Wow. The heritage of your testimonies I have forever. Indeed, the joy of my heart is there. Isn't that great? The joy of my heart is there. It's great when we can actually have a focal point of where our heart's desire is. We're not just kind of bumping into things. We know where our heart's desire is if we truly love Yahuwah and keep his word, which again, shamar, to keep, to observe, to guard his word is something precious, because that's what it is, nothing less than that. And it's not my own words, it's not my own teachings, it's not my own. It's his, like the Sabbath. And we find delight in him through finding delight in which he gives to us. And that is the joy of our heart, which is there in the testimonies forever. That's a great verse, isn't it, Armin? Isn't that a wonderful verse?
Absolutely. Not only that, I see something else in this verse.
Yep.
The term Nachalti edutecha leolam. That term, that expression, that first clause, because you'll notice the athnak there, the disjunctive accent.
Right.
That can be translated, I have inherited your testimonies. So it's possible, of course, I'm not dogmatic about this, but it's possible that he inherited this from his forefather, who way back when was at Sinai and received the testimony, received the Torah.
Yeah.
From generation to generation, from generation to generation, he inherited that.
Mm-hmm.
That which his forefather received, that was his heritage, that was his inheritance.
Amen. Amen. Well, we see that the word nachal is to inherit, to occupy, to distribute. It is not just to have something, putting in a savings account. It's to have something and enjoy it and to do something with it. So I think that makes perfect sense. I inherit your testimonies forever, because the testimonies, as opposed to anything else we have in this world, we might be part of a wealthy family. We can inherit a fortune, inherit a mansion or several, but it's only temporary, right? So the heritage of the testimonies are le'olam, are to forever, or to forever. Indeed, the joy in my heart is there. I think that's amazing. I love that. I love that verse. Amen. Amen. And again, not to rush things along, but the last verse just is an amazing capper. We can have a good discussion on that. And your hand is in the way, girly.
Oh, sorry.
That's okie dokie. Natiti. 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 Okay, Natiti is the first word. Natiti, which means I have set. Let's see. Nata is to stretch, to spread out, to I have inclined, I have set, I've spread out. Okay? I have spread out. Libi, I have spread out my heart. I have inclined my heart. I have set my heart. I have determined that my heart is whatever follows, right? Le asot. Okay? Asa is to do, to accomplish, to make, to keep. It's not the shomer. It's a different word. It's a performance word. It is an active word. It's a verb. Okay? I have set or inclined my heart to keep and to perform hukecha, with a little diamond on there, hukecha, to perform the statutes of you. And again, the statutes are the appointments, the decrees, an enactment, to engrave. They are lasting, okay? To perform the statutes of you, le'olam ekev, forever, the very end, to the very end, to forever, the very end. And I find that kind of almost oxymoronic there. We will follow him to the very end of our life, but to forever, to wherever that leads us next, right? Which is to eternity. Okay, I have said, I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes, to accomplish your statutes, to forever, to beyond the vanishing point, the very end, that very horizon. Because our lives, our mortality goes to the horizon, but beyond the horizon is the le'olam, va'ed. What do you think, Herman, as far as that statement?
I think it's just for emphasis. And again, verse 111 and verse 12 form a parallelism, a synonymous parallelism. But to get to your point, it is emphasizing. Normally when something is said twice, it's for emphasis. So, leolam ekev, for emphasis. Notice the accent there, the siluk, that little vertical line under the ayin, called siluk. And that the siluk plus the two little diamonds at the end there, that is what marks the end of the verse.
Right.
Siluk, it's a siluk with a sof pasuk. Those two diamonds is called a sof pasuk, the end of the verse. And the little vertical line is called the siluk. And that's the syllable that you're going to stress, akev. You're stressing the first syllable with that guttural, which I just find so interesting.
It is, isn't it?
I'm still practicing how to pronounce the akev.
Well, you'll be doing it to your very end, so there you go.
So it's for emphasis, I believe, and there's a parallelism in verses 111 and 112.
Your heritage forever, and the statutes forever, to the very end, to beyond the beyond. Amen. Okay, sir. So any other points you want to indicate for us here?
I don't have that much time. Got about 5 minutes. I don't know. Where do I start? Well, let me just focus on verse 105. Okay? I'll just focus on that one, and I'll see what I can share, how much time we have left.
Okay.
I think that verse 105 is the most famous verse of this long poem.
You got 10 minutes. How's 10 minutes for you?
Excuse me?
How about 10 minutes? You got 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes? Okay, beautiful. Alrighty. So I believe that verse 105 is the most famous verse of this long poem.
Yes, indeed.
I've heard this verse quoted quite a bit. And this is the one that stands out the most in all of Psalm 119. Not the whole Bible, of Psalm 119, I would say that this is the most famous one. So let's see. So Psalm 105, as we all know, there's a lot of poetry here. In fact, I believe there are 4 devices, possibly 5. But let me just read it again. It says, your word, right, is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So we know that light is very important, and we can interpret this light in various ways. Of course, you have physical light, where it illuminates our path, right? Because as the poet said, he has to be aware of the enemy's snares. So that physical light is important, especially when you're walking in dark places, the enemy's around, right? Which is often depicted as darkness. It's that light, that physical light is very important.
Yes.
I have been camping out here in the woods, and let me tell you, when you go out walking in the woods at night, that flashlight is vital.
Mm-hmm.
Need that light to walk in the path, to walk in the woods. It's vital.
Yes.
But light can also be understood here as mental light. That light that illuminates the mind. That light that brings light to your understanding. So I see light also in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it can be physical as well as metaphorical, mental.
Right.
Let's see, 105. Let me just focus on 105 here. Let me get to my notes here. 105. The poetry. Let's focus a little bit on the poetry. Again, we have the word feet, which, as I said last time in the last section, the feet here represent him. It represents him. Okay? And this would be synecdoche, as I said last time. It is a synecdoche. It is a literary device where the part represents the whole. Okay, so it can be read this way. Your word is a lamp to me. It enlightens me. It gives life to me.
Right.
So this synecdoche. But and then of course you have the word. The word is a lamp. So that is metaphor. The word, the eternal word here, is metaphorically an illuminating agent. So we have metaphor as well as a synecdoche. Now, there is another poetic device which I see here in verse 105, which is called gapping. I know it's a strange word, but I'll explain what it means. In Hebrew poetry, gapping means that you're taking a word or a phrase and then you're fitting it in to one of the clauses. And I'll demonstrate what I mean. Notice the first line, the first clause. Your word is a lamp to my feet. Right? And then the second line, the second clause says, and a light to my path. But it could also be understood this way. Your word is a lamp to my feet, and your word is a light to my path. So for the interest of brevity, because Hebrew poetry is very concise and brief, the term your word is gapped. It's understood in the second clause. So once again, that's called gapping. The expression your word is gapped. It's filled in. Your word is a lamp to my feet, and your word is a light to my path. So we have a synecdoche. In feet, you have metaphor, lamp being a light, the word being a lamp, and you have gapping, the carrying over, filling in. And then there is, of course, synonymous parallelism, because lamp and light are parallels. They are illuminating agents. And then you have the feet and the path, okay, because it's the feet that goes along the road, along the path. So there is a synonymous parallelism here. And it's pretty amazing that in this short verse, there is so much poetry. There's so many devices. You have 4 devices here in this short verse. And the Psalter is loaded all sorts of poetic devices. I don't know if you have, or Bill, if you have a question regarding any of those terms that I use, or Bob, Regina?
Well, synecdoche we heard before. We've heard that before, where somebody's saying about your head or your ears or your feet represent the whole. And the gap is where a line is repeated, but the word is implied by the parallel line, like your word is a lamp and a light, that the word could be inserted in there again, but with the gap that it doesn't need to be. It's there.
Hebrew poetry, remember, Hebrew poetry is very concise, very terse, short. So many times you'll have that concept.
Right.
And one of the reasons why there is an omission is to keep the lines balanced, because that's another characteristics of Hebrew poetry, where you have the first clause, usually the aphthmac, and then you have the second line, and there's usually a balance of syllables. That's very, very common. Alrighty, let's see, regarding, okay, let me just throw in one grammatical point here. You'll notice in the Hebrew text in verse 105, I'm just going to stick with 105 in the interest of time. You're going to notice here in the verse 105, you have ner le, notice, ner le raglai. You're going to notice that first lamed has 2 dots under it. That's called a shwa, or in modern Hebrew,
Right.
sheva. You see the 2 dots under the lamed there?
Yeah.
And if you go on, devarecha, you pause, or lin tivati. And you're going to notice that there is another lamed there, which is also a preposition, like the first lamed, which they're both prepositions, but in this case, there is only 1 dot as opposed to 2 dots. That 1 dot is called a chirik. Okay, and the reason why you have 1 dot as opposed to 2 dots is because you cannot have 2 shwas in the beginning of a word. You're going to notice that there is a nun that has the shwa.
Yes.
The nun has the shwa, or in modern Hebrew, the sheva. You cannot have 2 shwas. So that initial shwa, or the preposition for the lamed preposition, is shortened to a hirik. But if you go back to le raglai, you're going to notice that the following word is a reish, and it has a patak. Right? There isn't. Therefore, the preposition, the lamed preposition, can take the shwa.
Gotcha.
That is a grammatical rule. Rule being, you cannot have 2 shwas in the beginning of a word. If the letter is a shwa, usually the first letter that also should have a shwa is shortened to a chirik.
Okay.
We see that same concept in verse 106, and we see it also in verse 107. in verse 107 with the different preposition. If you go to verse 107 quickly, 107, let me go to the Hebrew text in verse 107. You're going to see the same grammatical rule there. Notice the last word,
Kidvarecha.
Chidvarecha, or Chidvarecha. You're going to notice that the kaf preposition usually has two dots, the sheva, the shwa. But since the dalet has the two shwas, the initial shwa of the kaf preposition is shortened to a chirik.
Gotcha.
Another example.
That makes sense. Because what I've always understood, for my 2 cents, is like, for instance, foot of me, the shwa under the lamed is like a grace note, so it would be le, and then the second one would be a syllable marker, lirag.
Well, what happens? The reason why the dalet has the shwa is because what happens is this word is devar, right?
Yeah.
Devar. We know that it's devar. But in this case, since you have the prenominal suffix that cha at the end, the kaf sofit, right, which is your or you, since the word is lengthened, the accent is now stressed is at the end. So since the accent is at the end, then the beginning of the word is shorten it. And this is why the dalet now has a shwa, because the accent is now at the end, and you see the siluk there.
Yes.
Siluk, the vertical line under the resh, besides the segol. Since the accent now has gone to the end of the word, the dalet, which is at the beginning, which is usually stressed, is now shortened to a sheva or to a shwa. That's why it has the shwa, the sheva.
All right.
And again, with the kaf preposition, because the dalet has the shwa or the sheva, now the kaf preposition that usually has the two dots also is now shortened to a chirik.
Okay. Tov.
I couldn't go on, but in the interest of time, and I think I'll end it here with at least some theoretical information on verse 105, as well as some grammar in verse 105.
Nice. Well done. Oh, man. Let me just do one more reading through from 119, Psalm 119, 105 to 112. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. I have sworn and confirmed that I will keep your righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Revive me, O Yahuwah, according to your word. Accept, I pray, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Yahuwah, and teach me your judgments. My life is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your Torah. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I have not strayed from your precepts. Your testimonies I have taken as a heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart, and I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes forever to the very end. And as I've said, 14 times now, I've said that these 8 verses in each of these letters tell little stories, show progress, show setbacks, but ultimately the victory. And it all comes from the perspective of the Psalter. We don't have really any thus saith the Lord, thus says Yahuwah. It's all from the perspective of the Psalter, which makes it that much more easy for us, because we are reaching from the perspective of a tzaddik. Nevertheless, it is a person who is true to the word, despite the dangers, despite the temptations or whatever. He always seems to steer clear of them. In his weaknesses, in his sufferings, he manages to stay out of it. I have not strayed from your precepts. I do not forget your Torah. And if we're going to be revived, we have to be revived according to the word. So he knows the source of his life, his Torah. Torah, the word, is life, and it's just a beautiful thing. Any final comments before we call it a day or a night?
Yes, I have one final comment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to talk about the free will offerings. I wanted to share a little bit about that.
Okay.
A very, very interesting offering that we find in the book of Leviticus. But to shorten it, verse 108 speaks about the free will offerings of his mouth, of the poet's mouth. And I just want to encourage all of us that we too give free will offerings from our mouths and from our hearts to the Lord. And of course, they would include direct praise from our mouth. They also include praise reports when you share with other people about what the Lord has done in your life. That's a free will offering from our mouth. It can include thanksgivings, thanking the Lord for his goodness, his generosity, and so on. And another free will offering that we should not overlook is the words that we express when we're delighting in the study of his word. There have been many times when I'm studying his word and I see something new and I just get so excited and I start saying things in excitement. That could be considered a free will offering of my mouth that praises him.
I agree.
Amen.
So there are a lot of beautiful things. There are a lot of free will offerings of our mouths that we should be practicing and giving unto the Lord on a regular basis.
Our friend Michael, a few years back, was saying that the holy kiss that Shaul is referring to back and forth is not so much a physical action of affection, but rather the holy kiss is, again, one of these spontaneous, unprepared praise or encouragement. A holy kiss is a word for you to encourage you, to strengthen you, to empower you. That I see that that makes sense, because the kiss comes from the mouth. The mouth, besides just doing a gesture, I mean, people kiss all over the place. I mean, but the idea of something meaning something greater than that also makes sense to me. That you're talking about the free will offering, that we encourage each other, we share a word of encouragement with each other, and that's something that we're not expecting. We don't have our hand out waiting for somebody to drop something in our. It's just something that just comes out, and like my friend William will say certain things, or Yochanan will say certain things, and it's like that to me. It's something I'm not digging for a compliment or to be honored in any way, but sometimes people will say something that encourages, that is good, and it's unexpected, and it comes out of love, unconditional love. And I think that that's an important thing, that the praise offerings, the willing praises, the nerava, we're impelled to do these things, and it's from our love for each other, and it is to be encouraged, and however it's manifested, whatever we call it, it is good. It is tov ma'od. Man, any final comments before we close it down?
Yes, also in 108, accept and beseech. Acceptance is really an approval, a consent with pardon, to delight, take pleasure, to accept, to pay also for debts.
Mm-hmm.
It is very intriguing. Also beseech, which is an habitation, a house, as a pleasant place, a dwelling, abode of residence. And can you imagine residing in the holy temple of Elohim when you return? It will be wonderful when you start think of these things the acceptance of a pardon for all our transgression that we have transgressed, and He wiped it out. And we accepted it
Yes.
gracefully. A new creature becomes. Amen.
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 Amen. Amen. Patricia. Pat? Are you there, Pat? Okay. She might have had to leave. I'll say the final prayer. Abba, we thank you once again, Father, for being with us this evening, for teaching us the details and teaching us the general statements and the beauty of the flow of your words, Abba, which are impeccable and amazing on artistic levels and on prophetic levels, and that we learn from them. And again, this section, which is the Nun, which is life, reminds us of life, everlasting life, that we keep it, your words, forever. Your testimonies are forever, heritage forever. And Nun leads us from this life to the very end, to the horizon, and then forever beyond the horizon, to the Le'olam, beyond the vanishing point. So we thank you, and I pray that we would continue to grow in your word, grow in your fellowship, and be faithful to you in all things this day, Father. And then this evening, Abba, and that we wake tomorrow and refreshed and continue to move and live, move, and have our being. And we thank you for all things. B'Shem Yeshua, Yahushua HaMashiach, Amen.
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 And again, I thank you all for watching us tonight. And be with us again this coming Shabbat at 11 a.m. We will be here come hook or by crook. And we've had snow this past weekend, like you wouldn't believe. But we're here. We're not traveling anywhere. We're right here before the screen here. And we're thankful that Yahuwah has made this available to us. And again, we thank Herman for being with us tonight, as well as Gilbert and Pat and myself and Regina, that we are together serving the Most High. And I thank you. You make this very worthwhile. And tell people about it. Tell folk about it. And there might very well be an additional outreach program that we're going to be initiating within the next few weeks also. So be with us. And we thank you. And we pray for health and well-being and clarity of our thinking, even as the Psalter has laid it out for us. Meditate over the words that we just read together, and be faithful, and hold on to the very end. And we give you thanks for joining us this evening, and we say, Laila Tov, Ulahitraot, which is good night, and we're going to check you out later. Shalom, shalom.
Good night, Herman. Good night, Bob and Miss Gina.
Good night.
Good night.